Hustlers and digital empire builders. It is that time for the Cortez Hustle Show, and today we're wrapping up our series on expert secrets. We're covering Russell Brunson's book, Expert Secrets, and today it's all about the backstory, man. It is important to understand the power of storytelling, and one of the most important stories that you will ever tell is your backstory, right? We're going to break that down and get all the way into it. He's got some great tips, some great questions to ask yourself to help you develop that backstory. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So do me a huge favor, ladies and gentlemen. Comment in the chat where you're from. Drop the name of your business and or your brand. Smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen. And let's kick it this morning. Yo, what's up, Ultimate Hustlers, and welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show, the business podcast for the entrepreneur of the 21st century. And I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. Our goal is to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how the world's greatest hustlers build amazing brands, scale their businesses to incredible heights, sell more, make more, and create mass movements that impact the world. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned vet or you're sitting on the sidelines with aspirations to one day unleash your inner hustle. This show will provide the insights into how pure grit, determination, and hard work has morphed into some of the most iconic brands and personalities and how they are moving the culture forward. You'll get a mix of solo shows featuring yours truly, as well as interviews and content from other hustlers that I either know personally or I've learned from or whose grind I've come to know and respect. And you'll also get exclusive recordings from our membership called Monetize My Life Academy, which you can check out at monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's a program where we go live every month with some of the best hustlers on the planet, sharing best practices on how we all can explode our brands with advanced branding and marketing tactics, business development strategies, and financial game planning necessary to build the empires we all desire. Again, that's at monetizemylifeacademy.com. If you like today's episode, chances are the hustlers you're connected to will like it as well. Share it with those in your network, and when you do, use hashtag Cortez Hustle so I can see you and hopefully give you a shout out and share you in my stories. So check out today's episode and make sure you subscribe to the feed on your favorite podcasting networks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show. I am, of course, your host, Cortez Hustle, everybody's favorite SaaSpreneur, coming to you live and direct from Local Biz Marketing Pro Studios right here in St. Louis, Missouri. If you are a small business and you're trying to dominate your local market, then you need to check out localbizmarketingpros.com. We have everything that you need to optimize your online presence, increase your lead flow, grow your revenue, so you can expand your operation and ultimately contribute more to the communities that you serve, mainly by hiring the people in the communities that you serve. So check out localbizmarketingpros.com. We got some great free tools over there, mainly our online marketing checklist that will help you get your online marketing done, right? And of course, if you need help with that, you can always hire Local Biz Marketing Pros as well. Today, we're talking expert secrets. This is the last part in our 8-part series on expert secrets, how to turn your gifts, talents, special abilities, experiences, and expertise into income, according to Russell Brunson. We're focusing on the backstory today. As you know, if you're going to do anything amazing in terms of being an influencer or an expert, then you have to build what's called a mass movement. What are the elements of a mass movement? You need a charismatic leader, you need a new opportunity, and you also need what is the third thing? Charismatic leader, new opportunity, and a future-based cause is the third thing that you need. And one of the most important components of building a mass movement is the backstory of the charismatic leader. And that's what we're going to wrap this up with today. But got a couple quick announcements before we get into that. Those of you who are still interested in starting a business in the software space, right? As you guys know, I have my own digital marketing software, and I help small local businesses with that software build their websites, use text messaging, use automation, all those sorts of things. If you're interested in starting your business in that space and working with me closely on that, then I have a free course called Boss Mode SaaSpreneur, right? A SaaSpreneur is someone who uses SaaS, software as a service, to build their business. There's a lot of benefits to that, and I get into all of that in that course. Plus, I give you my resource on how I was able to launch my own software company for free in 30 days or less. And I give you all the assets that I use to build my actual software company. So if you're interested in that, comment free course, and I'll make sure that you get the link to that. Also, office hours for those of you who are already in my software, Black Biz Success app. We're having office hours tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. What is office hours? That's just an opportunity for you to come together with all of those who are using the tools and the system and get your questions answered about how the system can work for you and your particular business. And I usually show some examples. Tomorrow, we're going to be focusing on your autoresponder, how to set up your email sequences. So when someone buys something from you, you can send them a thank you automatically. You can invite them to buy another product and all of that kind of stuff. How do you set those things up automatically? That's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow night. So if you already have the system, or you just want to sneak in and take a listen at what we talk about in those sessions, you're more than welcome to join us. Also, I'm releasing a brand new course for everybody who has the Black Biz Success app, and that is a business credit course, right? It's going to literally go over everything that you need to do in order to position yourself to apply for and get business credit. Of course, we do have a business credit suite that you can purchase from us, where we actually do a lot of that stuff for you. But nevertheless, if you want to do it on your own, you want to learn the ins and outs of business credit, that's coming this week as well. And then over the weekend, we launched our updated version of our Google My Business ebook, and the video course is coming. So if you get the ebook today, it's $10, $9.97 or something like that. If you get the ebook today, you will automatically get into the actual video course when it is released later this week. So I'll put the link to that in the comments for you guys to check that out. Google My Business is widely known but little used, especially in the Black community. We just don't take advantage of this free resource that allows us to get free traffic and free leads from the world's largest search engine. And this Google My Business 3.0 is our training guide on how to set up your Google My Business profile and take advantage of those things. So check that out. Link in the show notes and the description in the comments as well. So let's officially start the show, man. Y'all know how we do it, man. In order to start the show officially, we kick the show off with a quote of the day. And today's quote is a doozy. Punch me in the gut this morning, as they all do. But I was listening to some Les Brown, and he quoted Mary McLeod Bethune. And the quote says this: pray as if everything depends on God, but work as if everything depends on you. Man, if that ain't rich, I don't know what is. Pray as if everything depends on God, but work, the actions that you take, you work as if everything depends on you. And that is really in line with scripture, right? Faith without works is dead. In fact, I believe, this is just my humble belief, I don't know how you believe, but I believe the ultimate proof that you do believe is in the work that you do. Because it's only when you believe truly in the core of your being will you do the work necessary, right? This weekend, I got a chance to drop my son off at school, and he's preparing for a senior season as a basketball player and a student studying engineering. And my son had to believe that he could not only play and compete at the Division II level as a 5'8" point guard, he had to believe that he could thrive in that environment. And he had to believe that first in order to do the work that prepared him to be able to walk onto that team and become a starting point guard, right? He had to believe that. A lot of people are trying to do the work first and hoping that doing the work will cause them to believe. No, you got to believe first. And if you believe, you will do the work. And from the work, you get the necessary results. His skills have just continued to develop over and year after year after year because of his belief in his abilities and what he believes that God has called him to do, and how high God has set the ceiling for him to reach and what he believes he can do. Right? He believes he can play pro ball, so he works as if he believes that. My question to you is, what does your work say about your belief? But I want to know, what does your work say? The amount of work that you are putting in towards whatever you say your dreams and goals really are. What does your work say about your belief in those things? Does it say that you believe that you can pull those things off? Or does it say that you doubt you can do it, so you're barely putting in any work? Pray as if everything depends on a God, but work as if everything depends on you. That's Mary McLeod Bethune, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the quote of the day right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. If you have a favorite quote, we'd like to hear from you as well. That is brought to you by Black Biz Success app, the all-in-one sales and marketing solution for Black-owned businesses. It allows you to really compete with national brands, streamline your business processes, add the right amount of automation, but allow you to keep your high touch. Go to blackbizsuccess.com to see all of the tools and resources that are there for you to take your business and your brand to the next level. So we're talking expert secrets. We're in the final stage, final segment of an 8-part series. And if you guys have not seen the entire thing, then I'll put a link to the YouTube playlist, which all of these are stored, and then you can just watch them, kind of binge watch them. But everybody has been given a gift from God, every single one of us, right? My question to you, what's going on? King says, tuning in from the Bahamas. Appreciate you for tuning in this morning. Everybody has a special gift, a talent, something that they do better than most, an experience that they've overcome, and they've used a certain amount of expertise to get through those things. And my question to you is, why not package and present those things to the marketplace? The Bible says that your gifts will make room for you at the top, right? But how do your gifts make room for you at the top? They make room for you at the top by not burying them, but instead taking them to the marketplace where they can multiply. How do your gifts make room for you? By not burying them, like the parable of the three workers with the talents, right? Not burying them, but taking your gifts to the marketplace where they can be multiplied. Something that you have experienced, whether you experience it through going to school and learning, whether you experience it through the school of hard knocks, you actually went through some things, some hardships, some hard times, and you developed some coping mechanisms to help you overcome those things. Well, guess what? Those things have value to other people. And if you get this book, right, you'll do two things. A, you get a blueprint on how to turn your gifts, talents, special abilities, experiences, and expertise into income. Can't beat that, right? You'll also be helping out the show because I'm an affiliate of Russell's program. So if you got the book, then I think $1 for everybody who gets this book actually comes to us. So you'll be doing us a favor by getting the book. But understand there's a series of steps that Russell himself actually went through, and he documented, and basically he validated by studying some of the greatest mass movements that ever existed. And what he found is that every mass movement, right, has three things. It has a future-based cause, it has a charismatic leader, and it has a new opportunity, right? Well, if you have been successful at overcoming divorce, or maybe you survived a domestic violence relationship and you pulled your life back together. Maybe you're like my mom, raised 6 kids by herself, right? For a lot of years, we were on welfare. And my wife and I were just talking about some of our history. And like, I had no idea that your mom went through some of the things that she went through. And when I look at how all of us have turned out, right? Yeah, 6 children. My baby brother got killed when he was 18, 19 years old, 96. Uh, so there's 5 of us remaining. And for the most part, we're all upstanding citizens doing well in our respective fields and chosen endeavors, right? And when you think about where we come from, like my mom could literally write a book on how to overcome poverty, struggle, uh, physical abuse as a young mom, trying to figure things out and got with the wrong guy, and how do we escape that situation? Like it is some serious stuff if she ever wanted to turn that pain into power. If she ever wanted to turn that pain into a process to help other people get through it, right? Chances are you have something that you have gone through in your life, some sort of skill that if you were not blessed with it by God, you went through some sort of schooling, you went through some sort of vocation on a job, and you learned some things, and those things can be packaged and presented to the marketplace. But the best way to do that, according to Russell, is to start with building a mass movement. Identify who it is you want to serve. What problem are you uniquely qualified to solve, right? And if you can identify those things, then you're going to build a mass movement. You got to ask yourself, okay, who am I as a charismatic leader? And we're going to focus on your backstory, because your backstory is incredibly important, right? As the charismatic leader, right? Then you got to ask, what is the new opportunity that you're going to present that's going to get the transformation that people want? People are trying to go to a future-based cause, right? When you think about a charismatic leader like a Steve Jobs, Apple is a $3 trillion company. When you think about a charismatic leader, how many of you guys believe that Apple has successfully created a mass movement around its products, right? In fact, I don't even want to bring my Android out because I'm afraid that somebody's gonna cut my head off, right? Right? They've successfully built a mass movement around what? Around a charismatic leader in Steve Jobs, right? Around a future-based cause that said, 25 years ago, you're going to be able to take the most powerful personal computer with you everywhere you go. We're going to put a personal computer right inside of your cell phone, right? Future-based cause, new opportunity, an opportunity to live life in a way that it had never been lived before. Why? Because you have a powerful computer in your hands with all of the apps that simplify life. They built a $3 trillion company leveraging what Russell Brunson talks about in this book. So what we're going to break down is the backstory of the charismatic leader, right? That's what we're going to break down. So he talks about a certain format that he uses when he is presenting himself, his products, and his services, and he calls it an epiphany bridge script. Basically, what an epiphany bridge is, it's where I used to be, what happened in my life that caused me to have an aha moment, and then based on that aha moment, what took place next that allowed me to get to where I was trying to go, right? That's called an epiphany bridge. And he uses this scripting and this entire formula to help you understand how to best leverage the power of storytelling, right? And as you guys can probably tell, if you've been watching this show recently, I've been telling more and more stories. Why? Because that's the key to the number one thing that we are all in, especially as entrepreneurs. The number one business we are in, even before we sell anything, is relationship businesses, right? I don't care what you sell, what your product or service is, you are in a relationship business first and foremost. And the number one way to build relationships is through storytelling, which allow people to relate to who you are, especially you as the attractive character. So we're going to get into the 8 elements of an epiphany bridge, right? And I'm going to give you some questions that you can ask yourself to help you develop your own epiphany bridge, right? Some of you guys have been watching the show for a while. If I asked you some questions about me, you'd be able to tell me that Cortez is fourth born of 6 children, raised by a single mom, on welfare, because that's my story, right? Why do I tell that story? Because there's a lot of people that can relate to pulling themselves up by the bootstraps because they come from similar circumstances. And in order for me to be able to relate to those who follow me and to build a rapport with them, I have to first allow myself to be vulnerable, which then gives them permission to let their guards down. And when they let their guards down, we literally can then go through a bonding experience where I can get to know truly 2 things primarily: the challenges that they're facing and the goals or the destination that those challenges are keeping them from. Why is that so important for me to know? Because if I know the challenges that you are facing, then I can offer a solution. But watch this. Knowing what those challenges are keeping you from not only allows me to offer a solution, but it also allows me to offer motivation and inspiration for you to accept and apply my solution, because I know where you're trying to go, right? That's the key. So we're going to get into all of that in a second, but we cannot get into any of that until we get into some 1-minute motivation. Y'all know how serious I am about personal growth and self-development. So every episode of the Cortez Hustle Show, if you're new here, we do something called 1-minute motivation. That's where we play a short motivational clip, usually 60 to 90 seconds or so. I'm going to ask you to give a couple takeaways. I'm going to give a couple takeaways. So let's get into some 1-minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show.
Be clear in your mind in what you intend to achieve. Know what you are going to do. That doesn't seem like too much to ask. Certainly in war. And you wouldn't think it would be too much for people to ask in their lives either. But how often do we see people going through their lives without knowing what they are trying to do, without having any intent, without having a clear mission? I'm talking on an individual level. As a person, people go through their lives without knowing what it is they want to do, what they want to accomplish. So, know what your mission is. Know what your intent, as the commander of your life, know what your intent is, and then fight with everything you've got to win.
Woo-wee! Ladies and gentlemen, that gives me chills as I continue to move towards what I feel in my heart God is calling me to do. Like literally the picture gets clearer and clearer and clearer, right? It's like when if you've ever watched I forget his name, but some of you guys are familiar with this artist, very famous artist, public access television. For us in St. Louis, it's Channel 9. Got a big afro, and he would sit there and paint, right? And he would start off with just taking a little paint, and maybe he has a spatula or he has a thin brush, and he just looked like he's just putting lines on the canvas, right? But as he continues with every stroke, the image becomes more and more clear of what he's seeing in his head. It starts to be unveiled to us, right? What we tend to do in a lot of cases, and I was so guilty of this, is I would not take a step until I can clearly see how everything is going to shape out, how everything is going to be mapped out. And really, you got to be careful with that. And I'm not saying that you should not have a plan. I'm saying you should not obsess over the plan, but more so map out your first few steps and start taking them, right? Because it's in taking the first few steps that the next few steps are revealed. As they say, it is the start that stops most people. It's the start that stops most people. It's not that they don't know the first step to take. It's usually they're afraid to take step one because they don't know what step 10, 11, and 12 is. Well, I promise you, if you take steps 1, 2, and 3, steps 4, 5, and 6 will be revealed. And when you take steps 4, 5, and 6, steps 7, 8, and 9 are going to show themselves. All you need, I've got a great mentor, and Brian Bean says, you need the what and the why, and the how will show up. Cortez, what are you trying to do? I'm trying to build a multinational, multi-billion-dollar media conglomerate. Why? Because I don't like the stories that are being told about us, and it's the same old story being told over and over and over again. I also know the power that media has to shape public opinion, and I would like to interject into public opinion that more people should be thinking about entrepreneurship, right? So I get the what and the why. The how will reveal itself as I start taking actions based on the what and the why. So when he says be clear, set your intentions, that's the beginning. Hey man, listen, I've got a clear intention to help Black people become the number one employers of Black people in the next 2 generations. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that, but I have a marketing business. I understand that one of the things that holds us back is we don't know how to market our businesses properly. So if we can market our businesses better, our businesses will grow. And if our businesses grow, we'll have to hire more people. So that's a start. I also know that one of the other challenges that we have when it comes to our business is a lack of access to funding. Well, while there is systemic racism that keeps funding away from certain Black-owned businesses, I do also know this. Some of our businesses and some of our business owners just aren't ready for funding. They got the wrong business model. They got the wrong business mindset. So if I can help them reshape their business model to make it more fundable, if I can help them reshape their mindset to understand how to build and create a sustainable revenue that limits the risk of a bank investing in them, then boom, I can help those businesses. So I'm just starting where I am with what I have, knowing the what and the how, or what and the why, and I'm just expecting God to show me the how. But my intention is clear. My intention is set, my vision, I can see so clearly that, oh, this is the problem and this is how we solve it. I just don't know every step and how to get there. But I ain't got to worry about step 3 and 4 when I'm still on step 1. I got to focus and concentrate on step 1. I expect fully that the help that I need, the resources, the people, the tools, all of that to get me to step 2 and 3. When I'm done with step 1, I believe that those things will be revealed to me. So I can't worry about that. I just worry about step 1. Let me just get through step 1, right? I also think that one of the other reasons that people don't set clear intentions, and I don't believe that a lot of times people, it's not that you don't know what you want, it's that you're afraid to say what you want. This is just something that I believe. He in that video, he said a lot of people are walking around here and don't know what they want. I believe more people know what they want than they actually admit. I believe they're afraid to admit it though. See, because what happens is when you start to admit what you really want out of life, by default, you have to admit why you don't have it, why you're not going after it. And I think that's the conversation that people really don't want to have. If I started to admit that I really want this thing, then I have to answer the questions, why don't I have it? Why aren't I going after it? So a lot of us pretend that we don't want more out of life because we know in order to get more out of life, we have to become more, and we don't want to change. Just a little theory I've been working on, right? So that, ladies and gentlemen, is 1 Minute Motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by the Local Biz Marketing Mastermind. If you're a local business owner looking to optimize your online presence, increase your leads, grow your revenue, expand your operation, and contribute more to the communities that you serve, we have a free Facebook group. It's a support group where I share some marketing tips and strategies, but it's also a place for us to network, also a place for you to share your best practices, what's working for you, and maybe we can get some of those things working for us. So that's what that group is all about. The link is in the show notes and the description. Ask to join, answer the questions, and I will let you in gladly. And we're just trying to grow this thing, man, so that we can build. And I just believe that we can no longer afford to hoard information. This is what I believe. So I believe in coming into a group like that, you can feel comfortable and safe to share what you're struggling with in business, what's working for you in business, and other entrepreneurs can also chime in on how they would potentially deal with some of the same things that you're dealing with, so we can help each other grow. So if you're an entrepreneur, go ahead and join that group right there on Facebook. I think you'll get a tremendous amount of value out of it. So let's get into this epiphany bridge and the importance of developing your backstory. Now that you understand the concept of an epiphany bridge and you've also seen the structure of the hero's journey, we have everything we need to start creating powerful epiphany bridge stories. The epiphany bridge script follows a similar path as the hero's 2 journeys, but I built it in a way that makes telling your story very simple. I have this on my desk and I use it all the time. An epiphany bridge story has 8 core sections that pull you through the hero's 2 journeys. I have a question that goes with each section, and answering each question actually creates the story for me. I will go into more depth for each question below, but let's show you quickly how this works. So you have your backstory, you have your desires, and then with desires, you have external desires, you have internal desires, you have the wall, you have the epiphany, you have the plan, you have the conflict, you have the achievement, and ultimately you have the transformation, right? So I'm going to get into each one of these. So backstory, what is your backstory that gives you, that gives your followers a vested interest in your journey, right? This is the importance of the backstory. It gives people a vested interest. People want to pull for you, right? Based on your backstory. Most good stories start with the backstory. For an epiphany bridge, that means remembering where you were before you had that big aha moment. Go back to the time and place and remember the circumstances that caused you to start on your hero's journey. Usually this backstory starts at about the same point where your listeners is in their life right now, right? This is usually where it begins. They desire the same result that you have already achieved, but when they see you as an expert and see what you've accomplished, it can be really hard for them to relate to you and trust you. That's why you must come down from your positioning as an expert and return to the beginning where you were struggling with the same things they are. When they see that you were once where they are now, they will have faith that you can take them where they want to go. So your backstory brings you down from your expert level and puts you where your followers are today. So you have to go back, right? When I teach people in my personal branding 365 course, you're talking to the people that are today where you were 5 years ago, where you were 10 years ago. So your backstory is constantly reminding them that, A, I was once where you are now, and here's how I got myself out. Your desires. What is it you want to accomplish? When you created your plot statement, you learned about the 3 foundational elements of every good story: character, desire, conflict. Here is where you talk about what it is that you desire the most. What most people miss is that there are almost always 2 types of struggles keeping you from what you desire the most: the more surface level external struggles, and more importantly, the deeper internal struggles that you and your listeners are experiencing. So you got your backstory, you've got your desires. What is the external struggle you are dealing with? The external struggles is what drives the journey of accomplishment. The hero's first journey is tied to your desire and is usually based on one of the goals you learned about earlier: to win, to retrieve, to escape, or to stop, right? You're trying to win something, you're trying to retrieve something, you're trying to escape something, you're trying to stop something from happening. People are usually willing to share their external struggles. I'm trying to lose weight, but I can't give up carbs. Or I want to start my own company, but I can't find the time, right? Those are external desires. Then you have your internal struggles, right? That's keeping you from these desires. The internal struggle is a journey of transformation from fear to courage, the hero's second journey. This is the root cause of your struggle. Sometimes it's hard to share or even know what the actual internal struggles are. But if you're willing and able to get vulnerable and share your internal struggles, this will build rapport faster than anything else you can do. I'm going to read that one more time for the people in the back. If you are willing and able to get vulnerable and share your internal struggles, this will build rapport faster than anything else you can do. Why? Because your audience also shares these same internal struggles. All right. Then he talks about the wall. What was the wall or problem you hit within your current opportunity that started you on this new journey? It's important. So he's laying down the 8 core elements of a good story, right? And remember, in one of the earlier parts in the series, we talked about the ability to tell your story in 60 seconds, 60 minutes, or 6 days, right? It's just the amount of details that you fill in. So the backstory builds rapport with the character, then takes the listeners to the moment of frustration that causes our hero to start on their journey. This wall is the frustration you felt because of the current opportunity you have been using to try to accomplish your desires, right? It is, this is who I am. This is what I desire to do. This is how I tried to fix it in the past. Things were going well. And then all of a sudden, this vehicle broke down on me and I had to do something different, right? Then you have the epiphany. What was the epiphany you experienced and new opportunity you discovered? So you were trugging along, pursuing these desires, you hit this wall. But then you had this aha moment. So far, the hero has been introduced. We know what the ultimate desire is, and we also know the wall their current opportunity has created that is keeping them from their goal. This is the point where something happens that shows them the path they need to follow. It could be a person who helps them understand something. This is usually where in your superhero movies and the origin stories, they meet their mentor, right? This is usually when they uncover their powers, right? Something happens, right? Then you have the plan. What was the plan you created to achieve the desires? So what you're doing is you're taking people on a journey, and ultimately at the end of the journey, the purpose of the journey is for them to come to the conclusion that you want them to, right? What was the plan you created to achieve your desire? Now that you had the epiphany and you've learned about the new opportunity, now we talk about the plan you've created to see if this new opportunity will lead you to the desire you want the most, right? Then you have the conflict. What conflict did you experience along the way, right? My wife and I do movies, every week or so, every couple of weeks. And yesterday, we went to see the new movie Beast, right, with Idris Elba. And if you haven't seen it, it is worth seeing. It's a phenomenal movie, right? But we always, I drag her to some of the craziest stuff. I got some weird interests when it comes to movies, right? But yesterday she was like, well, this is the first time I feel like I've been to the movies in a long time. I'm like, we saw Joe Coy last week. The week before that, we saw something else. She was like, no, those did not feel like real movies because, those are the things she was not interested in those things. But I just remember every time you watch a movie, and it's an action thriller, right? So whenever you watch an action thriller, there is always a point in the movie where it seems like they're about to overcome. They seem like they're about to get out. They're almost out of the woods, and then they run into that final conflict, right? You've got to learn how to tell stories like this, right? After the hero develops a plan, they move forward on it until something happens. They start to run into conflict. We call this point of no return, because before this point, they could have easily just walked away from the plan and things would have been okay, right? What is your point of no return? What is your point of no return? Then you have the achievement, right? What was your end result? After your final push, something happens. Either you achieve your external desires or you don't. Share the aftermath of what happened to people so people can see the result you got from the new opportunity. And then finally, there's your transformation, right? What was the transformation you experienced? Here you talk about who you became through this process. This is the resolution of your internal struggles and is the death of the hero's identity and the rebirth of your new belief system, right? One of my favorite hero movies of all time is Hancock. You watched him transform from a drunk, depressed superhero who really didn't care about how he moved and whether he saved the city or not, to ultimately becoming what we know as a traditional superhero, right? Goes through the transformation, met a mentor, had some conflicts along the way, right? It's amazing how if you watch this whole episode, you're not going to be able to watch a movie the same way, especially if you get the book and you really read and study this for yourself. You're never going to see a movie the same way, right? Just, it's not going to happen. So what was the transformation that changed the hero's belief system? As you will see in the next secret, the goal of all good stories is to break old belief patterns and rebuild them with new ones. When you create your story this way, you are helping people to break free from their old belief system and create a new future. So y'all ready to go to work? Y'all ready to go to work? I'm going to ask you some questions to help you build your own backstory, right? Somebody can put these in the chat for me. That would be amazing. So there are 8 questions to help you build this story. Question number one. What is your backstory that gives us a vested interest in your journey? What is your backstory? This is, remember, when you're building your backstory, you're going back to the time where your followers are now. Like, so my followers are, chances are, at the very beginning stages of their journey as a hustler, right? I call you guys ultimate hustlers for a reason, digital empire builders. A lot of my followers are at the very beginning stages of their digital empire building journey. So my backstory would go back to me 9 or 10 years in corporate America, at the company that I had been with for a while. I'm 14, 15 years in the customer service field, doing my thing, house, roof over the kids' head, all of that kind of stuff. And everything according to what society says a man should be and a father should be, I was doing those things, right? I was doing those things. I was coaching youth basketball. I was volunteering at my church. I was doing the things that every man, father should be doing to try to be an upstanding citizen, right? But at the end of the day, I wasn't fulfilled, and I didn't know why. I wasn't fulfilled, and I didn't know why. Part of me was excited because I know that my duty as a father was to be a provider and a protector. So I was providing for my family, right? I moved us into a safe neighborhood. My sons went to a school district where they rarely saw a fight. None of my children got into any trouble, right? I made it all the way through high school. I graduated 5 sons, a nephew, and a cousin. And out of 7 boys, there was only 1 suspension. And that was my youngest son. He waited till he was in the 11th grade to get suspended for some foolishness, right? But I was doing all the things, but I wasn't fulfilled, right? And I had been an entrepreneur once before. In fact, as a young man, my entrepreneurial journey was perverted very early on in life, and I got caught up in the street life. And so I knew entrepreneurship. I was doing $1,000 days when I was a very young kid in the streets, right? So I knew that there was a way to bring in money that didn't require a lot of time, didn't require 40 hours a week, and you could live these extraordinary lifestyles and things if you did things a different way. But I got married, had a family, and I wanted to keep them safe. I didn't want them to be introduced to the street life and any of that stuff, right? So I'm doing the corporate thing, and at the end of the day, I just wasn't fulfilled because the entrepreneur in me was dying, right? So what did I do? I went to the internet and I started looking for how to make money online because I knew that I couldn't go out and really build a traditional business, volunteering at church, coaching 2 youth basketball teams, working full time, got a wife, trying to make sure that we're spending time together and all of those things. But at the same time, my inner entrepreneur was dying and it was killing me on the inside. So I've had to find a way that would allow me to reignite that entrepreneurial flame, but wouldn't take from my family, right? So how's that for a backstory? Number two, what is your desire, right? What is it that you want to accomplish? And when you ask, what do you want to accomplish? External. What is the external struggle you are dealing with? And what is the internal struggle you are dealing with? So at that time, if I go back, I'm in corporate, I'm doing my thing. What is it that I want to accomplish? I wanted both financial freedom and time freedom. I wanted to be able to come and go as I please. I wanted to be able to fly around the world. I wanted to be able to give my children these amazing experiences, right? So I wanted time freedom and financial freedom. What was holding you back? Externally, I didn't have time, is what I thought. Man, I'm volunteering at the church. I'm coaching 2 youth basketball teams. I'm assisting the coach. I'm an assistant coach on the third team, and we're practicing 3-4 times a week. And it's just, then I'm working full time. I don't have time to really pour my heart and soul into a business that will create the time freedom and the financial freedom that I want. What was the internal struggle? I was scared. I was scared. I was scared that if I saw the right vehicle that could create the time and financial freedom for me, that I wouldn't be able to unsee it. So as much as I was looking for certain things and opportunities, I was also at the same time really scared to allow myself to believe fully that I can make those things happen. Number three, the wall. What was the wall, the problem that you hit within your current opportunity that started you on this new journey? Well, as I fast forward a little bit, I did find an opportunity and I started working that opportunity and I started building some success. And believe it or not, the wall that I hit is not always a negative wall that you hit. The wall that I hit, believe it or not, was I kept getting promoted on my job. Every time I started getting some momentum in my business, I got a promotion on my job that required more responsibility. And there was always a conflict. Okay, I got a promotion, got a little bit more money. So now the money that I was making over here in my business, really, I just made up for that with this raise and this promotion on the job. So every time that would happen, I would slow down and kill the momentum in my business and focus on the career, right? Until one final time that happened, and I was like, no, I don't want the promotion. In fact, I don't even want the job no more because the job is getting in the way of the business, right? What was the epiphany? What was the epiphany you experienced and new opportunity that you discovered? That was it. The job was getting in the way of the business. Every time I got a raise or promotion on a job, it killed my business. So I made a very tough decision to kill my job. And I walked away from $65,000 a year job, become a full-time entrepreneur. And guess what? I was not making $65,000 a year in my business, but I felt that I would never make $65,000 a year in my business if I was anchored to that job, right? So what was the plan? The plan was to build a business in a way that will create time and financial freedom. What was the conflict? I didn't know how to build a business that will create time and financial freedom, because even when I stopped working the job and started doing my business full time, I went from an 8-hour job, an 8-hour day on my job, to a 24-hour a day business, right? Ultimately, I got with the right mentor. So number 7, the achievement. What was the end result that you achieved? Ultimately, I got with the right mentors, and they taught me about MBAs, right? I had to have the right business model. I had to have the right brand. I had to have the right automation. I had to have the right systems in place, because those are the things that create time and financial freedom, right? You can make a lot of money from your labor, and that can create some financial freedom, but you don't have time freedom, because when you stop putting in the labor, the money stops coming in, right? Then you could have time freedom and no money. At one point, I had a lot of systems working for me, but they wasn't bringing in any money. So I had to figure out how to get the right business model. Software as a solution, for me, is the right business model. It allows me to have a product or service that solves real problems, that has high margins, right? And monthly recurring revenue. I had to build a brand around them. Who needs this product the most? Small businesses, solopreneurs getting started, right? The automation's in place. I've got systems working for me right now. People can go buy from me while I'm doing this podcast, right? If you call my business line today, I'm not going to answer because I'm doing the podcast, but you're going to get an automated text message from me that says, hey, I saw I missed your call. How can I help you? Right? Automation, systems in place. Now I understand how to build a business that has time freedom and financial freedom baked in as it grows. The transformation. What was the transformation that you experienced? Man, I became a better person. I became a better husband. I became a better father. I became a better human being, as I started to understand that all businesses are relationship businesses. So I started focusing on how to create and build solid relationships. And that added so much value to my life that I literally started to become the person, right? I got a favorite quote that I put on my social media not too long ago. It says, don't focus on winning the championship. Focus on becoming the person capable of winning a championship. See, when Michael Jordan was going through his years with the Knicks, the Pacers, and the Pistons, those were the years that he became a champion. And then when they three-peated those 2 times, he actually won the championship. But he became a champion when he was getting beat up, when he went from one season to the next, adding 20 pounds of muscle because he realized he was going to keep getting knocked to the ground. Those are the seasons he became a champion. When he won the titles, those are the seasons that he won the championship. But it was the process that made him a champion. So I literally went through a process these last 7 years that made me a champion. Now I'm in position to win the championship. So hopefully you guys got some value out of that, man. I tell you, all of Russell's books are amazing, and you should have them in your library. Click on the link in the show notes in the description. we'll earn a small commission if you get it through our link. But definitely add this to your library. Study it from time to time. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Later in the week, we're going to get into my book on leadership. I'm excited to start a series on that. As you guys know, I do these series based on where I am in my journey. As my business is growing, I now have to become a better leader. So I'm studying leadership. So that's the next series that we're going to do. I appreciate you guys for all tuning in. Until I talk to you next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it each and every single one of you. Now hustle up. But you've got to overcome fear if you're going to win.
You're tuned into the Cortez Hustle Show. Please like and subscribe.